the demons that come with the addiction. And we've been talking about positive communication. We've been talking about the drama triangle versus the empowerment dynamic. And you may be standing there going, Tanya, that's all well and good, but the lies. How do I manage the lies? And I've got clients that say their addicted loved one lied to them even before they've asked them a question. So today we're going to talk about what makes addicts lie, and I do want to use the question what instead of why. So let's look at some statistics. Here's what's really interesting. So if we're talking about lies, which seem to be hand in hand with the addictive nature, because we have made this such a crime in our society that we just expect lies. But in reality, we get lied to, get this one, this is statistically, 10 to 200 times a day. 10 to 200 times a day. And it could be everything, and this depends on you and what you feel comfortable with. It could be everything from, tell them I'm not here, or yeah, maybe I should have been here on time, but I got stuck in traffic, or I was unable to get my kids out the door, or whatever we need to tell to save face. So that's the first part of what's going on. So your addict, because they are struggling with this, because they know this is problematic for you, on their way home, as they are using, as they're working with their friends, they're already processing that this is not okay, that this isn't going to be something you're going to be comfortable with, that there's going to be some consequences for it. So they may walk in with the story already built, with the lie already built, because of multiple reasons. Now, we need to stop and separate two things right now. So there's a difference between two things. There is misinformation So misinformation is different from intent to mislead. So if I said to my husband Jerry, hey, we need to be at the football game at 7 p.m., but the football game is really at 6 p.m., that is misinformation. I had no intention of getting to the football game at the wrong time. What happened was I didn't connect with the information, I didn't read the information correctly, or maybe the information got given to me incorrectly. That's misinformation. Now, because your addicted loved one may not be connecting with the world and may not be connecting with what's going on, misinformation may be very common. And one of the things that can bring on addiction is ADHD or ADD. And there are some wonderful people at ADHD Love, Rich and Roxy, who talk about the ADHD clock, and that misinformation is a lot of what's going on because it's time blindness. But I'll leave you to walk over to ADHD Love. It's a great channel if you want to learn some more about that. What the difference is, the intent to mislead is normally what we are dealing with an addict. So instead of asking why, instead of asking a question that you already know the answer to or you don't want to know the answer to, let's back up and ask this question. Instead of asking why, let's ask what is making the addict bring in this falsehood. A lot of that can be shame-based. I don't want to be this person. I don't want to be using. I don't want to be dealing with this way. I feel shamed. I don't want to be in your presence while I'm doing this. So I'm going to set up this whole elaborate lie and I'm going to share this with you. So some of that is shame-based. Some of that is, I don't want to face the consequences. I know there are consequences for this. I know that there are going to be issues, and I don't want it from you. So I'm going to concoct something that I think you're going to believe. And then the last one, the deeper one, is a level of cognitive dissonance or denial. So cognitive dissonance means that I cannot see what is actually going on, which is the same, and denial is a combination of that and saying this isn't really what's going on. So just as you are the one outside watching what's happening, and I've had a friend with a story of, she filmed her husband loading the dishwasher drunk, because now we all have these magic filming options in our pockets, and she filmed her loading it drunk. She showed it to him the next day when he said he had not been drunk the night before, and he said, "That's not me." That seems ludicrous, but it's also part of what the addict cannot see about themselves. So if they are using to deal with pain, to deal with shame, to deal with deep hurt, to deal with things that they don't have the emotional capacity to deal with, then they are not going to see themselves as that person. That's going to be denial. That's going to be a cognitive dissonance between themselves and what's actually happening, because they can't face it. Here's probably one of the biggest things that causes that issue is a huge sense of insecurity, shame, and humiliation. So you wagging your finger at them, which used to be what I did, I will teach them a lesson, I will punish them, I will make sure it's really clear on what they're doing and who they are, that is not going to do you a whole lot of good. It will just drive them back into their shell. So one of the things we haven't talked about is winning the war rather than winning the battle. So as you're talking about the lie, you are looking at the overall person of, what do you really want? What is your real goal? So if your real goal is not, we're going to stick with what, but your real goal is not to correct single behaviors. One behavior. What is your real goal? That's something that I'd like you to think about. My real goal has always been connection, family, health. So what is your real goal? Clients often come in with different goals, but the one behavior, correcting this one incident, typically is not their real goal. So dealing with this one lie, not the real goal. So as you're looking at this protection mechanism they have put over themselves to keep from feeling shame, to keep from feeling insecurity, maybe because they cannot focus on what's really happening, they're in so much denial. If you come at them in a punishment frame of mind, or I'll show you, they're just going to back up and hide more. Is that your real goal? So when we're talking about this, what's the real goal? The next step is, you are the expert on what is happening. You can often see more than they can see. If somebody came to you and said, "I want to help you, but let me ask you this," if every time they said, "I want to help you," it came with such a high cost of, "You're bad, you need to be punished, you're telling lies, so I can't be with you," would you show up? Probably not. When we're looking at consequences, what we want to look at is the what, we'll go back to that, the what around the lies and what's underneath it, and we want to pull alongside them, not agree with the lie, but pull alongside them and look at the underneath. That can involve listening to the story without responding. It can involve sitting and being quiet. It can involve also not providing your own consequences. For the most part, natural consequences will take over. If I stop showing up on time to my job, I will lose my job. If I stop showing up for my kids won't know who I am. If I stop handling things at home, then maybe as the loved one of the addict, you stop changing their sheets, cleaning their room, picking out their favorite food. You just don't have the capacity for that anymore if there isn't going to be any help. So natural consequences will happen. The other way to work with this is to normalize it. And we're going to talk about shame and guilt later with some work from Brene Brown, but to normalize it and say, yeah, when I feel really bad, this is what I do. We all have go-tos when we are feeling upset, when we're feeling in pain, when we feel really bad, when we feel like, oh, let's just leave it. We all have those go-tos. Some of them are healthy and rejuvenating, some of them are detrimental. So normalizing it, bringing yourself on the same side with that person, that puts us back in the empowerment triangle, to where we are empowering that person to share their feelings, to share their pain. That's what's going on. So that empathetic approach. Now, I am not saying, let them run over the top of you, take advantage of you, you become a doormat. No, there still have to be boundaries. There still have to be, the natural consequences have to be there. There is an empathy piece that takes your attention and emotion, but it doesn't take away from who you are when you do that. And this is a hard thing. If punishing them worked, if punishing the lies, managing it through heavy punishment, then the war on drugs would have worked. Prison would have worked. Juvenile hall, heavy consequences of losing your children or losing your job, that would work. And what we know statistically is that does not work. So here's the next step. Once you have done empathy, possibly normalized it, some things can't be normalized, then you let them sit with the consequences. That's probably one of the hardest, especially for parents. If you know down the line things are going to happen, or things are going to get worse for them, or even for spouses, that it's going to get worse or more difficult, and then it's going to run down on me, then I want to stop that. Here's your work. The difficulty of your work is not to stop the consequences. So what do we say? There's something happening, and if it's happening like this, then whatever is happening to this person, you have to let them have the dignity to solve their own issues and sit in their own problems. Otherwise, if you keep flying in as the caped rescuer, flying in to rescue them, I hope you can see this, my camera was falling, flying in to rescue them and sweep them up, they are never going to figure this out. In fact, you're causing more harm than good. So we are back to allowing them their consequences and to look at the what. What is happening before they tell you a lie? What is going on there? So all of those positive communication skills, and I encourage you to go back and watch those, all of those things take practice. Looking at it in the empowerment dynamic rather than the drama triangle will give you more peace of mind. So here's the biggest thing for you, dear loved one of the addict, is by changing what you do, by no longer doing this rescue behavior, by changing what you do, the addict will have to change. How they change, I can't guarantee. That they will change, that you will build more skills, that you will figure out what works better for you. Think about that. What benefit is it for them to come in and lie to you, you to get upset with them, you to punish them? If that corrected anything, I would say more power to you, do it. So this week, we are going to continue on this series of what to do about lying, what to do about manipulation and distrust. We're going to talk through these demons that come with addiction. And here's the biggest thing. This person who is using, this person who you love, is doing this because something is hurting. Something needs healing. And by you punishing them, you are just driving them back into that corner. So yes, I understand. Lying is really difficult. Dealing with the lies is super difficult. I'm asking you to step in and look at alternative ways to manage this so that you can be healthier, so that your family can be healthier. Check out our course below. It talks about this. Look at the opportunities we have, and let's keep working on this step by step, inch by inch, because we are going after the whole person, not just one segment.